Welcome back to another episode of the Even Your Dynasty Show. It's Tuesday, and you know what time that is. That means it's time for our weekly update for the Giants minor league system. Just a reminder, next week, we are going to do the live show on Monday. I'm going to have Ricky joining me. He's very well versed in the Giants farm system. He will get his thoughts both on kind of some of the kids that are playing up in the majors, on the big league team. We're going to do our normal weekly update. I'm going to try and figure out a way to get some of the highlights in there on the live show. It might not be there, though, for next week's episode. So it might just be more of us talking and sharing our thoughts on different players. But we'll see what we can do on that one. I'm looking forward to that one. It's going to be a lot of fun. So you guys join in, ask him lots of questions. I think he's even better versed than I am when it comes to kind of the under the radar guys. Usually if I see them, I try and give them a shout out if they're doing well. But for the purpose of this, so I don't let these get out of hand every week, I typically keep this to the more of the top prospects, unless there's somebody just absolutely tearing it up. So as always, though, if you guys enjoy the content I put out, do please like the video, subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot in growing this. And, the more we build this up, the more, fun, different things I'm going to be able to do with this channel. So, definitely do that if you haven't already. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start off with the River Cats this week. As we always do, we work our way down. They went 2-4 versus Round Rock, 44 and 31 on the season. Starting off with their number one prospect, Marco Luciano, 4 for 18 with a double, 4 walks and 7 strikeouts. He's still kind of slowly getting back into it after coming off the injured list from the hamstring issue. As I mentioned last week, it is not uncommon for him to strike out a ton. Now, the strikeouts, it was 7 strikeouts and 22 plate appearances. It is slowly going back down to kind of a normal range for him. I know last week he struck out like 11 times. So hopefully he's going to start driving the ball better. He did hit a double off the fence in right center field, which was an impressive swing. So they really need to get him going. And it's not the end of the world if he needs several hundred at bats in AAA for development. I know I've been pushing for him up in the majors. That mainly has to do with the just scrap heap they keep throwing out there. Now that they're playing Wisely over at short, I like Wisely. If they'd have Schmidt up, I like Schmidt, Fitzgerald, whoever. I just want one of the young guys playing every day. And when Marco showed up and was hitting 375 in the majors, it's like, just let this guy play. Let his bat play, see what happens. If they're going to play a kid up there, I don't mind Marco sitting down here and learning. Right now he's learning second base. I think it's questionable on whether or not that's the best place for him, but at least it's not just them throwing the same stuff at shortstop and where his future is not, and then complaining about his defense when he comes up to the majors. So it is a change. It is progress in some capacity. So we'll see how he does there. Number 2 prospect, Carson Wisenhunt, 4 1/3 innings, 0 earned runs, 5 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, threw 89 pitches, 56 for strikes. Wasn't overly efficient, obviously. The pitch count ran up pretty high, but this is part of why I've been kind of pushing for him to get an opportunity in the major leagues. And I understand, I also sat here pushing for Mason Black and he struggled. So my thing is this team doesn't have anybody eating up innings. And yes, he is not always the most efficient player, but also the strike zones in AAA are less, they're smaller and less pitcher friendly than what you get in the majors. Now, also, if you look at his numbers, his home road splits are pretty intense. He has about a 2.9 ERA at home, and then his road ERA is like 7. But then you look at where he's pitched, and he's pitched in Reno a few times. He's pitched in like El Paso, Albuquerque. I mean, these are all, Coors Field light or like stadiums where it's just at elevation. They're super hitter friendly. And Sacramento, it's more of a neutral pitching environment, and he's been very successful. So I think he could go to San Francisco and at least be effective and hold his own and eat up some innings, which this team desperately needs right now. I mean, they're trotting bullpen games 3 times a week again. It's like 2023 all over again. So The pitch count has been built up to 90, which means if he came up, he probably could go to like 95, pushing close to 100. Um, the way they've built him up finally. So I would love to see him get a look. He's been really good his last 5 starts as well, with a sub 3 ERA and uh, more strikeouts than innings, and the walks have at least been manageable in that time frame. So he's trending upward. So we'll see what happens with him. Number 6 prospect Hayden Birdsong went 5 innings, gave up 2 earned runs, 3 hits, 4 walks, 7 strikeouts through 91 pitches. 54 for strikes. It was his second AAA outing. He definitely, the swing and miss was there. His stuff looked really good. Had kind of an oddity where he 4-pitch walked a couple guys to lead off innings. And it's like it took him a minute to settle into the innings. Gave up 1 home run where he kind of left one into the fat part of the zone and a guy hit it, out to left. But overall, I mean, 7 strikeouts in 5 innings again. I mean, he has a ton of swing and miss, and he has a lot of upside with his different pitches. He's a guy that I think very well could end up being a front end of the rotation starter. He's my favorite pitcher in the Giants system. Doesn't mean I wouldn't be willing to move him for, a star caliber player like as part of the package. I do think he has a really good chance at being in the top 100 on MLB prospects once they do the reshuffle around midseason. But, time will tell there. Mason Black, their number 7 prospect, 3 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, 3 hits, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, 79 pitches, 47 for strikes. Again, struggles to throw strikes, keeps getting behind hitters, then goes to the fat part of the zone, gets hit hard. He's just struggled since he's gone back down. I mean, his AAA ERA was like 1.2 when he got sent back down from the majors, and it's up in the 4s now. I mean, it's ballooned in his last 3 outings. So he's going to have to figure something out. He needs to get more ground balls. I'm going to keep harping on that. And he's got to throw more strikes. I think it's just plain and simple. So, number 8 prospect, Reggie Crawford. He actually went out to the Rickwood game. Giants brought a lot of prospects out for that to let them experience it. And he was rehabbing he hasn't pitched since June 5th. And it sounds like he gave an interview and he mentioned that he's going to be going to Arizona next to start throwing again. So, hasn't pitched in the complex league yet, but it does sound like he's going to be pitching there soon. Number 13 prospect Grant McCray went 0 for 9 with a walk and 5 strikeouts. Pretty uneventful because, well, he wasn't on base pretty much at all. So, rough week for him, but he's adjusting, and, he's kind of always been a low average hitter with, he's going to walk a good amount and then he strikes out a lot. But, he has pop. He does some damage when he makes contact. He's just kind of an intriguing player. He's just an explosive athlete. And, we'll kind of see how he develops. He's going to have to get the strikeouts down, though, if he ever wants to be kind of a viable major league starter potentially. And really, even if he wants to be kind of a reserve outfielder, you can't be striking out 33% of the time as a player like him. So hopefully he keeps developing, but rough week for him last week. Number 17 prospect Carson Seymour went 5 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts through 81 pitches, 47 for strikes. It was just a solid outing. It wasn't great, wasn't bad. It was just kind of his run of the mill outing for him. Stuff's still pretty solid, but I think he does need to get a little bit more of a reliable out pitch. His curveball is nice. It's not consistent. Fastball, he runs it mid to upper 90s. It's kind of that 95 to 97 range, but he's not deceptive or blowing it by people a lot. So he either needs to get like a third pitch that's really reliable or get more of an out pitch that's consistent. Kaiwei Tang, their number 22 prospect, pitched in 2 games, 7 2/3 innings, 4 earned runs, 6 hits, 3 walks, and 8 strikeouts. He did have an outing where he only gave up 1 earned run. He ended his streak of consecutive games giving up multiple runs. So good for you, Kaiwei Tang. But he's a DFA candidate in my eyes. I'm not sure they're going to, because there's actually several guys up on the major league roster that they may decide to move off of. especially with the way the season's going. There is that potential that they end up moving some guys and it creates spots that way. But if they don't, and they have all these guys coming off of injuries, guys like Austin Warren, Robbie Ray, that are going to come off the 60 man. I mean, Tristan Beck, they're not counting on until well after the All-Star break either. But some of these guys are going to come off the 60 man and they're going to have to make spots on the roster. So I could see him being a potential guy if they don't end up trading some of these veterans. Hunter Bishop, 4 for 23, a triple, a double, a walk, 11 strikeouts, and a stolen base. He's been kind of up and down in recent weeks. A couple weeks ago, he had a bad week. Then he had a good week. Then he had a bad week this week. So he's been, a little bit up and down, but that's kind of his game. When you have a lot of swing and miss, you're going to have stretches like this where you just don't hit. But good to see him steal a bag. He's got really good speed. He's played really solid defense. He threw a runner out at home plate from center field in Wisenhunt's outing. It was a questionable call at home plate, but it was still a really good throw that he made. Tyler Fitzgerald, he had kind of a weird week because they called him up for that Rickwood game. So he was traveling from Sacramento out to Alabama and then back. So he only played in 2 games in the minors, went 2 for 7 with a double, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. And then obviously he pinch ran in the Rickwood game, but nothing came of that. Casey Schmidt had a really rough week, 1 for 17 with a walk and 6 strikeouts. Not much to say about him. I mean, he did get a hit in the Sunday game, drove in a run, so helped him there, but that was it for him on the week. And other than that, a couple notes for guys. Blake Snell played and Robbie Ray pitched in Sacramento on Sunday for rehab outings. Snell did not look sharp. He's come out and made public comments about how he's feeling rushed and all that. I mean, sorry, man, that the front office wants a return on investment on their $31 million pitcher. I feel so bad for you. But, get healthy, find a way to be effective because, the team desperately needs starting pitching. So hopefully he can get right. Robbie Ray threw 45 pitches in 2 1/3 scoreless innings, though. He looked really good. 30 for strikes, struck out a couple batters. Was, like I said, really effective. And, I'm going to beg the question here, and I'm not saying to push him. I'm not saying to rush him. I'm not saying anything like that. I don't think they should rush him or push him too fast. But if we're going to be running openers out there every 3 times a week, maybe Robbie Ray as a 50 or 60 pitch guy as an opener might not be the worst thing because what we're throwing out there right now has been pretty atrocious. So just food for thought. I'm not trying to say push him up to, 90 pitches super fast, but, even if he's only throwing 50 pitches, 60 pitches, whatever, and you're slowly building him up, he might be more effective giving you 2, 3, 4 innings than a lot of these guys are trotting out there. So, like I said, food for thought on that one. Moving over to Richmond Flying Squirrels, they went 4-2 versus Portland, and that is the Portland in Maine. 34 and 35 on the season. Number 19 prospect Victor Barracoto, 9 for 21 with a home run, a double, walk, 4 strikeouts, and a stolen base. He has continued to, heat up as the weather is heated up, so to speak, in Richmond. So good for him. He's starting to play pretty well in the Eastern League. His numbers still aren't overly impressive, but I feel like that's, 3 or 4 weeks in a row where he's swung the bat pretty well. Number 23 prospect Adrian Sugiste, 4 for 15 with 2 doubles and 3 strikeouts. He's not a guy that's going to impress you with the bat, but he is a solid glove behind the plate. Number 26 prospect Jairo Pomares, 5 for 20 with a home run, a double, a walk, 5 Ks, and a stolen base. He, as I've said, he has pretty immense power. He's had a few really good weeks in a row. His numbers are actually quite impressive for the Eastern League. I believe his OPS is sitting around 790 now, which in the Eastern, I can't stress it enough, in the Eastern League, that's actually pretty good. I'd have to look at what he is as far as like OPS plus or WRC plus, but he's probably like 10 to 20% better than league average, which is good. He's a guy that if he can figure it out, he's either going to be a solid trade piece or, he's a guy with power that they've been needing. So we'll see how he keeps doing. Number 29 prospect, Carson Ragsdale. He's been probably their best prospect in Double A the last month. His ERA is down into the 3.4 range. He went 6 innings, gave up 1 earned run, 4 hits, 2 walks, and 10 strikeouts on 90 pitches, 61 for strikes. So right at that 15 pitch inning count that you're hoping for. And he's been really effective. Fastball, curveball have been really good for him. And he's a guy I could see. He's a bit on the older side. He's like 26. So I could see him getting the call up to AAA relatively soon this season and pitching much of the second half in Sacramento. Moving over to Eugene, number 10 prospect Joe Whitman made his first start in Eugene in high A after his promotion. Went 4 innings pitched, gave up 0 earned runs, 3 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. He was very effective. His slider was really good. The highlights on him are not going to be great because the Spokane where the sun hits dead in the center field. So they had the back camera showing him early in the game. So, but you can get kind of a little bit of an idea on some of the movement, especially on his slider, on a few of the strikeouts. Number 12 prospect Trevor McDonald. They keep developing him as a starter. I do think eventually he's going to be in the pen in San Francisco, but I'm not sure if they're rehabbing him or what, or if this is just where he is right now. But he threw 3 1/3 innings, 2 earned runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Number 18 prospect Diego Velasquez went 4 for 21 with 2 doubles, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, and 2 stolen bases. Didn't hit for a ton of average, but he's still finding ways to impact games. He's only 20 years old, down in high A, and he's playing really well. Actually, I think he's turned 21 this year. So he's 21 down there and he's playing well, and hopefully he's going to keep progressing. I think he could be a really solid second baseman. He's a guy that's not going to get super highly valued by, top 100 lists or anything like that, but because he doesn't have any explosive tools or anything, but he's a guy that I could see being a really solid starter down the road. He can swing it. So number 24 prospect, O'Neal Perez, pretty quiet week, 3 for 18, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. And then Will Bednar, they're keeping him to 2 innings an outing. I don't know if that'll change later on, but he went 2 innings, no earned runs, 1 hit, 4 strikeouts. So he's been really good in high A. And Farhan loves him. He was a first round pick for Farhan. We'll see. They may just be developing him as more of a reliever. I don't think they're going to stretch him out, especially with all his back injuries that he's suffered. So we'll kind of see as the season goes if anything changes there. Going over to the Baby Giants, San Jose, they went 4-2 at Modesto, 39-29 on the season. They've kind of turned their year around. They were trugging along under 500 for a little bit, and they've been hot the last month. Number 3 prospect Bryce Eldridge, 5 for 21 with another home run to the opposite way. Went kind of left center on this one. A double, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. It wasn't obviously a huge week, but I also saw him have a little bit of bad luck. Had a couple balls that he scalded pretty hard to the right side that the first baseman dove and speared. One went right at the guy. So, hitting the ball hard, some bad luck in there. It happens. That's baseball. Number 25 prospect Cole Foster went 5 for 20 with a home run, 2 doubles, and 6 strikeouts. The home run and 2 doubles came in one game, and he had 6 RBIs. It was a grand slam and then a couple doubles. So he had a pretty incredible game, one of the games. But overall, he's been, a little up and down. Ever since he came back from the injury, he hasn't been great. Hopefully he gets going, though. He was one of their 3rd-round picks last season. Number 27 prospect Jonah Cox had one of his worst weeks of the season, 3 for 22 with a triple, a double, 3 walks, and 9 strikeouts, and didn't steal a bag, which was kind of shocking. I mean, this is a guy with 38 steals on the year, so still wanted to see him get moved up to high A, but he didn't have a great week last week. And then number 28 prospect Josh Bostic, 3 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, a hit, 5 strikeouts. He was really good, only threw 33 pitches, 25 for strikes in those 3 innings. I could not tell if maybe he was pulled due to an injury or something, because the guy that came in after him threw 5 innings. So, and he had been throwing more earlier. So it's either load management and injury. I'm not really sure. I mean, he could have had a blister for all we know. So unfortunately, that's the minor leagues where you don't hear about the injuries most of the time. Moving over to the complex league, number 4 prospect Walker Martin went 6 for 20 with a double, 5 walks, 10 strikeouts. Still striking out too much down there, but starting to swing the bat a little better. The walks are still really good. He's been walking at a great rate down there. Just needs to make more contact. Simple as that. But he's got a beautiful swing. I believe in that guy. I think he's going to be really good in a year or two. But it's a big jump in level of competition from high school coming over, and not every guy just shows up and rakes the second he gets over to the professional ball. So we'll see how he does. Rainer Arias made his debut last week. Went 1 for 8 with 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, and a stolen base. He played yesterday as well and went, I think, 1 for 4 with a walk as well. So he's on his, he's finally healthy and playing. And then number 11 prospect Landon Roop, we had a sighting with him. Pitched in 2 games in the complex league, 3 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 2 hits, 8 strikeouts. I'd imagine they'll have him back up in Sacramento before too long, but he is currently rehabbing down there. And I didn't get a pitch count because unfortunately they don't track how many pitches those guys throw in the complex league. So unless you just happen to have somebody that was there and keeping track, you can't get them in the box scores. Number 16 prospect Wade Meckler is rehabbing again in Arizona, 1 for 10 with 2 walks and a strikeout. And then Ryan Reckley cooled off a little bit, went 2 for 11 with a home run, a triple, a walk, and 6 strikeouts, but he's still having a really solid year down in Arizona. That's all I have for this week. As I said earlier, we're going to do this show live next week. I don't know how we're going to make the highlights work. We may not have them, or I'll try and figure out a way to, if I can squeeze them in, while we're talking, but it's going to be a different format. For Grand, if you're watching right now, Shanahan, if we're going to do your keep, sell, or, keep, trade, whatever list, we're going to kind of run through our guys and have probably different tiers for each, category, I guess you could say, on that. So we're going to do that on the live show. I'm going to do that with Ricky. He thought it was a fun idea. So we're going to enjoy that. But that's all I have for this week for the minor leagues. If you guys have any questions, anything else you want me to talk about, drop it in the comment. If anybody ever wants to try and join the show, whether it's a live or just something we pre-record, reach out to me. You can either do it on Bleacher Report at EYD Show is my user thing there. You can message me, or you can just go to follow me on X, Twitter, whatever you call it, at EYD Show. Same thing. So that's it. Go Giants. Glad they won one for Willie yesterday. That was awesome. And we'll talk more about the big club here in the next couple days. All right. Peace out, everyone.